Alright, what's up, what's up? I'm gonna go ahead and switch the music real quick before I switch to the virtual machine. Hey, I'm Red. I am your friendly TryHackMe newbie and just gonna be going through the Complete Beginner course. I am currently, if I go back to the dashboard here, on the Complete Beginner learning path. We have gone through some Windows fundamentals, and I'm currently on the Active Directory basics. So, track me. It's very free. I am a paid subscriber. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I feel like this is a good study buddy way to kind of hang out. Hit me up with any recommendations, anything you see that I did wrong or whatever. This is not a pro expert version of hackering. This is one humble study guy hoping to learn from the community and maybe show people how I go through my process. It's going to be slow at parts. It might be fast at parts. But yeah, let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to resume learning. I logged in. And we're at some Active Directory basics. Learn the basics of Active Directory and how it's used in the real world today. All right, cool. I know very little about Active Directory. I'm not a very good Windows guy. So this is going to be a very good learning experience for me. Active Directory is the directory service for Windows domain networks. It is used by many of today's top companies, and it is a vital skill to comprehend when attacking Windows. It is recommended to have knowledge of basic network services, Windows networking, and PowerShell. The detail of specific uses and objects will be limited as this is only a general overview of Active Directory. For more information on a specific topic, look for the corresponding room or do your own research on the topic. Love to do my own research. Anytime that they have a link in here for me to learn, I typically will right click, open a new tab, save that page so that way I can go read it later. What is this little guy? Kalent Isometric Illustration by Felix Oppenheimer on Dribble. I have no idea what Dribble is, but I'm going to go check that out. Pretty. This is hire me. All right, dope. Very pretty picture. All right. What is Active Directory? Active Directory is a collection of machines and servers connected inside of domains that are a collective part of a bigger forest of domains that make up an Active Directory network. Active Directory contains many functioning bits and pieces, a majority of which we'll be covering in the upcoming tasks. To outline what we'll be covering, take a look over this list of Active Directory components and become familiar with the various pieces of Active Directory. Domain controllers, forests and trees, domains, users and groups, trusts, policies, domain services. All of these parts of Active Directory come together to make a big network of machines and servers. Now that we know what Active Directory is, let's talk about the why. Why use Active Directory? The majority of large companies use Active Directory because it allows for the control and monitoring of their users' computers through a single domain controller. It allows a single user to sign in to any computer on the Active Directory network and have access to his or her stored files and folders in a server, as well as the local storage on that machine. This allows for any user in the company to use any machine that the company owns without having to set up multiple users on a machine. Active Directory does it all for you. Alright, sounds pretty easy. Now that we know the what and the why of Active Directory, let's move on to how it works and functions. So, something that I heard about Active Directory is because it's very easy to access all your storage and media, in different machines. That it might actually make it easier for you to be compromised. Like if you have your Active Directory creds stolen, then they can just kind of go through the network all willy-nilly. Not really big on that. I don't know too much about it, but maybe they'll get to it here. Like they said, this is just the basics. I understand what Active Directory is and why it's used. All right, cool. Whoop whoop. Answer's correct. All right, so task 2, Physical Active Directory. The Physical Active Directory is the servers and machines on premises. These can be anything from domain controllers and storage servers to domain user machines. Everything needed for an Active Directory environment besides the software. More pretty pictures, probably from that same fellow. Let's go take a look. domain controllers. A domain controller is a Windows server that has Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS, installed, and has been promoted to a domain controller in the forest. Domain controllers are the center of Active Directory. They control the rest of the domain. I'll outline the tasks of a domain controller below. It holds the ADDS data store, so the Active Directory Domain Services data store, handles authentication and authorization services, replicate updates from other domain controllers in the forest. So if you update one, it'll spread throughout. All right, cool. And allows admin access to manage domain resources. That's the dangerous part, I think. We'll see. ADDS data store. The Active Directory data store holds the databases and processes needed to store and manage directory information such as users, groups, and services. Below is an outline of some of the contents and characteristics of the ADDS data store. It contains the ntds.dit, a database that contains all the information of an Active Directory domain controller as well as password hashes for domain users. Check that out. Stored by default in system root, NTDS, accessible only by the domain controller. That is everything that you need to know in terms of physical and on-premises Active Directory. Then move on to learn about the software and infrastructure behind the network. All right, what database does the ADDS contain? All right, so we just read that ntds.dit, right? That was right here. All right, where is the ntds.dit stored? ntds, it's stored here, right? Oh, duh, they mean specifically the location. All right, so I'm gonna copy pasta. Boop, beep boop. All right, in the system root, so that's like C, Windows, whatever, ntds. And then what type of machine can be a domain controller? What type of machine? A domain controller, Active Directory. Maybe they mean Windows Server. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So, to review, what database does the ADDS contain? It's the ntds.dit, and like they said, that contains all the information of an Active Directory domain controller as well as password hashes for the users. Where's it located? Your system root, NTDS. And what type of machine can be a domain controller? Well, obviously it's going to be your Windows server there. Great. Moving on to task 3, the forest. The forest is what defines everything. It is the container that holds all the other bits and pieces of the network together. Without the forest, all of the other trees and domains would not be able to interact. The one thing to note when thinking of the forest is not to think of it too literally. It is a physical thing just as much as a figurative thing. When we say forest, it is only a way of describing the connection between the trees and the domains by the network. So, looks like we got a cool little picture here. Domain TryHackMe.com, domain east.tryhackme.com, domain west.tryhackme.com. So we have different domains. And so I guess the forest is going to tie all these things together, all these domains together. All right. A forest is a collection of one or more domain trees. Hey, that's what we just saw inside of an Active Directory network. It is what categorizes the parts of the network as a whole. The forest consists of these parts, which we will go into further detail with later. Okay. Trees. A hierarchy of domains in Active Directory domain services. Okay. Domains used to group and manage objects. Organizational units, containers for groups, computers, users, printers, and other organizational units. Oh, can you have organizational units within organizational units? Okay. Trusts allow users to access resources in other domains. Objects, users, groups, printers, computer shares, domain services, DNS server, LLMNR. Don't know what that is, so maybe they'll tell us. In IPv6. I feel like that's going to be like a link layer or something or other, but I have no idea. So because I don't know what that is, I am going to go to the good old-fashioned Google. Link local multicast name resolution. All right. Kind of right. I had an idea. All right. So what is the term for a hierarchy of domains in a network? So as we just saw, domain. That was the TryHackMe.com, EastTryHackMe.com, and WestTryHackMe.com. These were all a hierarchy of domains in the Active Directory domain. What is the term for the rules for object creation? Rules for object creation. And we just saw right here. Oh, I skipped it when I spoke. Domain schema. I speak Spanish, so I want to say schema, but I feel like English speakers will be like, no, it's a schema. So we'll go with whatever. I'm not going to charge you with any offenses if you say it one way or another. What is the term for containers for groups, computers, users, printers, and other OUs? Organizational units. Very curious about this. I want to learn about the organizational units within the organizational units. Cool. So if you got a notepad out or whatever, normally I would be going and pulling out, like I like to use OneNote. I'm not sure what you like to use. And maybe if you want to tell me what kind of note taker you like to use, that'd be pretty dope. But I would be creating like a little glossary of each of these, and with the word, another column with the definition, and then another column with a reference to it. Now, this is a tactic that I learned actually when studying for my SANS certifications, my GAIAC stuff. They allow you to do open book testing, but the problem is that the books are massive. Like I got, let me show you my piles and piles of books here. Like tons of books. You get tons of books. And so it can be hard to pass the test in time period if you have no idea where to look in a book. A lot of this computering stuff is knowing where to look for the answer that you need. Obviously, Google is just a massive trove of information. So the more you're able to like narrow down where you got to go for that stuff, the better. Okay, so users and groups, task 4. The users and groups that are inside of an Active Directory are up to you. When you create a domain controller, it comes with default groups and 2 default users, administrator and guest. It's up to you to create new users and create new groups to add users to. Okay. There's no image here, I guess. Oh, you know what? Maybe this default. Look, that makes sense. It looks like a default picture. Yeah. All right. So more Pixel Bay, Rafael Silva made this. That's cool. All right. Users overview. Users are the core to Active Directory. Without users, why have Active Directory in the first place? There are 4 main types of users you'll find in Active Directory network. However, there can be more depending on how a company manages the permissions of its users. The 4 types of users are domain admins, service accounts, local administrators, and domain users. Domain admins are the big boss. They control the domains and are the only ones with access to the domain controller. Service accounts can be domain admins. These are for the most part, never used except for service maintenance. They are required for Windows or by Windows for services such as SQL to pair a service with a service account. Okay, well, we've seen those. Well, maybe not in this little framework we've gone through, but once we start digging into password hashes, LSAS, that sort of thing, you'll see that kind of thing. Local administrators. These users can make changes to local machines, such as to local machines as an administrator, and may even be able to control other normal users, but they cannot access the domain controller. And domain users. These are your everyday users. They can log into the machines, they have the authorization to access, and may have local administrator rights to machines depending on their organization. So you just wanna give Bob from accounting his access to the net, to the domain. You give him a domain account. All right. Seems to make sense to me. All right. Groups overview. Groups can make it easier to give permissions to users and objects by organizing them into groups with specified permissions. There are 2 overarching types of Active Directory groups: security groups and distribution groups. Security groups, these are groups that are used to specify permissions for a large number of users, while distribution groups, these are groups used to specify email distribution lists. As an attacker, these groups are less beneficial to us, but they can still be beneficial in enumeration. Okay, good to know. I haven't messed with that at all, so we'll see how that goes. Default security groups. There are a lot of default security groups, so I won't be going into too much detail of each past a brief description of the permissions that they offer to the assigned group. Here is a brief outline of the security groups. It looks like a big old list there, and I'll just go down them. Domain controllers, domain guests, domain users, domain computers, domain admins, so lots of domain stuff. Enterprise admins, we haven't talked about enterprise yet. Schema admins, DNS admins, DNS update proxy, allowed RODC password replication group, that's a mouthful. Group policy creator owners, denied RODC password replication group. This sounds cool. Members in this group cannot have their passwords replicated to any read-only domain controllers in domain. So RODC, read-only domain controller. Protected users, cert publishers, read-only domain controllers, enterprise read-only domain controllers, key admins, enterprise key admins, clonable domain controllers, RAS and IAS servers. This last one, servers in this group can access remote access properties of users. So, pretty interesting. These are the default security groups that are, if distribution groups are not interesting to us as attackers, that means by default that perhaps security groups will be the interesting one to us. So we'll want to delve more into this when we're not doing just a groups overview. So which types of groups specify user permissions? So user permissions, security groups. Security groups, did I spell that correctly? All right, so let's see if that's spelled here. Yep, security groups. And that was the question, and that is the answer. Which group contains all workstations and servers joined to the domain? Which group? So, all domain guests. So this is all workstations and servers joined to the domain. All workstations and servers joined to domain computers. Okay. Which group can publish certificates in a directory? That was the only one that I saw that said certificates. So, scrolling through. Cert publishers. Okay. Which user can make changes to a local machine but not to a domain controller? So, local, remember when we took a look at the users overview? We have local administrators and we have domain admins. So these ones can make changes to local machines but not to the domain. Which group has their passwords replicated to read-only domain controllers? Oh, hey, look at that. It turned out to be a question on the thing. So, has their passwords replicated? So, allowed RODC replication group. Whoop whoop. All right. So yeah, that's an interesting one. So members in this group can have their passwords replicated to all read-only domain controllers in the domain. So me just being curious why they made this one a question, and the words just seem kind of interesting. I'd probably go and on my own go study more about this and then try to see what types of situations people have used this to exploit systems, right? But that's exploratory learning. You just got to be curious. Things that seem weird, seem interesting to you, go dig into them a little bit and learn what you can. All right, task 5, trusts and policies. All right, trusts and policies go hand in hand to help the domain and trees communicate with each other and maintain security inside of the network. They put the rules in place of how the domains inside of a forest can interact with each other, how an external forest can interact with the forest, and how overall domain rules or policies that a domain must follow. Domain trust overview. Trusts are a mechanism in place for users in a network to gain access to other resources in the domain. For the most part, trusts outline the way that the domains inside of a forest communicate with each other. In some environments, trusts can be extended out to external domains and even forests in some cases. There are two types of trust that determine how the domains communicate. I'll outline the two types of trust below. Directional and transitive. Directional. The direction of the trust flows from a trusting domain to a trusted domain. And transitive. The trust relationship expands just beyond just the two domains to include other trusted domains. All right, so looks like directional. The trust flows from existing or trusting to a trusted. So we East trust TryHackMe, TryHackMe trust East, and TryHackMe trust West. So to me, that sounds like in order to trust this external domain, we'd have to have a type of trust, a transitive trust, to allow us to get to that external domain. But I'm not sure. We'll see. All right. So that's all right. So the type of trust put in place determine how the domains and trees in a forest are able to communicate and send data to and from each other when attacking an Active Directory environment. You can sometimes abuse these trusts in order to move laterally through the network. So I think that's kind of like what I was just talking about. Domain policies overview. Policies are a very big part of Active Directory. They dictate how the server operates and what rules it will and will not follow. You can think of domain policies like domain groups, except instead of permissions, they contain rules. And instead of only applying to a group of users, the policies apply to a domain as a whole. They simply act as a rulebook for Active Directory that a domain admin can modify and alter as they deem necessary to keep the network running smoothly and securely. Along with a very long list of default domain policies, domain admins can choose to add their own policies not already on the domain controller, for example. If you wanted to disable Windows Defender across all the machines on a domain, that sounds dangerous, you could create a new group policy object to disable Windows Defender. Ooh. The options for domain policies are almost endless and are a big factor for attackers when enumerating an Active Directory network. I'll outline just a few of the many policies that are default, or you can create an Active Directory environment. Disable Windows Defender. Disable Windows Defender across all machines on a domain. Digitally sign communication always. Can disable or enable SMB signing on the domain controller. Okay, so that domain policies are a very big part of Active Directory. All right. What type of trust flows from a trusting domain to a trusted domain? So that was from, it flows in one direction, right? So directional. Is that a spelled correctly thing? Probably not. Directional. There we go. I can spell. I'm a big boy. It's fine. All right. What types of trusts expand to include other trusted domains? Well, that right there would be the transitive. Transitive. All right. Pretty simple. Getting scary here with the domain policies, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Trust me. Trust me. All right. Oh, wait a second. Hey, I got a badge, probably, I think. I completed a question every day to build my hacking streak. All right. I'm a big streaker. Don't mind me. I know not all of you are streakers. I've talked about this before, but I like building my little flame, you know? I'm going to get that 5% off swag one of these days. Well, 15 days, right? See what there is to purchase. All right. So, task 6. Sorry, I was drinking coffee and it nearly killed me. Active Directory domain services plus authentication. The Active Directory domain services are the core functions of an Active Directory network. They allow for management of the domain, security certificates, Ldapps, and much more. This is how the domain controller decides what it wants to do and what services it wants to provide for the domain. This one right here was made by Anna Miminoshvili. By Anna. Also on Dribble. I gotta figure out what this Dribble thing is. Domain services overview. Domain services are exactly what they sound like. They are services that the domain controller provides to the rest of the domain or tree. There is a wide range of various services that can be added to a domain controller. However, in this room, we'll only be going over the default services that come when you set up a Windows server as a domain controller. Outlined below are the default domain services. Ldap. We heard about Ldap very recently, right? Log4j, certificate services, DNS, LLMNR, and MBT-NS. So Ldap, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, provides communication between applications and directory services. Certificate services allows the domain controller to create, validate, and revoke public key certificates. DNS, LLMNR, MBT-NS. It's domain name services for identifying IP host names. So DNS, as you probably know, is the way we are able to resolve those web pages. For example, we are humans, and humans' brains like words much less than we like numbers. So when we it's a science fact for sure. I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's a lot easier for me to remember TryHackMe.com instead of whatever the IP address is for TryHackMe.com. So DNS allows us to convert that name into numbers because that's what computers want. Computers want the IP address, right? So, all right. What type of authentication uses tickets? Authentication. Are they talking about this, or are they talking about like Kerberos? Oh, I skipped an entire section. All right. Domain authentication overview. The most important part of our Active Directory, as well as the most vulnerable part of Active Directory, all right, is the authentication protocol set in place. There are two types of authentication in place for Active Directory, NTLM and Kerberos. Since these will be covered in more depth in later rooms, we will not be covered past the very basics needed to understand how they apply to Active Directory as a whole. For more information on NTLM and Kerberos, check out the Attacking Kerberos room. Ooh, this sounds like a fun room. We'll go there. Okay, Kerberos, NTLM. Kerberos, the default authentication service for Active Directory uses reset. It uses Active Directory. Active Directory uses ticket granting tickets. All right, and service tickets to authenticate users and give users access to other resources across the domain. NTLM. NTLM is default Windows Authentication Protocol. It uses encrypted challenge response protocol. All right, dope. Active Directory domain services are the main access point for attackers and contain some of the most vulnerable protocols for Active Directory. This will not be the last time you see them mentioned in terms of Active Directory security. All right. We're going to be sneaky ones. All right, so what type of authentication uses tickets? We just read that. Kerberos. Maybe I'm spelling it weirdly without the R. All right, Kerberos. Like the three-headed dog that guards Hades, right? Give it a Trisket and see how it feels. All right, what domain service can create, validate, and revoke public key certificates? Well, my friends, I think it's certificate services. It's right in the name, huh? Certificate services. All right, easy task, very good. Ooh, so I really am curious about the cloud. I don't know much about the cloud at all, and all I know is that Active Directory is heavily used inside of it, at least for the Microsoft implementation. I don't know anything about AWS yet, so that's another thing I need to go learn about. But I guess we're going to learn a little bit about it here. Recently, there has been a shift in Active Directory pushing the companies to cloud networks for their companies. The most notable AD cloud provider is Azure AD. Very important. This was a big deal around this time last year, right? So its default settings are much more secure than an on-premise physical Active Directory network. However, the cloud AD may still have vulnerabilities in it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, like this icon, pretty cool. Looking very sci-fi. All right, Azure AD overview. Azure acts as the middleman between your physical Active Directory and users' sign-on. This allows for more secure transaction between domains, making a lot of Active Directory attacks ineffective. Okay, cool. Azure is going to be our middleman. So users and computers, they go to the cloud, and then they get to the Active Directory. All right, I see how that flows. Good picture. Appreciate the artwork, person. Maybe that was done by Icons 8. I don't know. Cloud security overview. The best way to show you how the cloud takes security precautions past what is already provided with a physical network is to show you a comparison with a Cloud Active Directory environment. So Windows, Azure, Cloud, local. All right, they use Ldap, they use REST APIs, NTLM, OAuth and SAML over here, Kerberos, OpenID, an organizational unit tree versus a flat structure, domains and forests, tenants. I've never heard this. This sounds like real, like slumlordy. I don't know. That's just me. Trusts and guess. All right, back to guess. Now I feel a little bit safer. Now we're back in Disney or Target world where everybody's a guest. All right. This is only an overview of Active Directory in the cloud, so we will not be going into detail on any of these protocols. However, I encourage you to go out and do your own research. Yes, always do your own research into these cloud protocols and how they are more secure than their physical counterparts. And if they themselves come with vulnerabilities. Ooh, spooky. All right, so what is a Azure AD equivalent of Ldap? REST APIs. What is the Azure AD equivalent of domains and forests? Tenants. I feel like, especially you're going from the domain, you're going from a domain and forest, right? Now you just got tenants. All right. What is the Windows Server AD equivalent of guess? Well, trusts. Very easy. Oh, looks like we're gonna get to some fun stuff finally. All right, hands-on lab. I'm gonna start the machine. I know this is gonna tell me to do it. I'm pressing the button. Let's press the button. Let's go. All right, cool. So we pressed the button. Now I'm gonna let that spin up while I read the thing. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm not blocking it too much. Now that we have talked about Active Directory and understand the theory of it, let's take a hands-on look. I recommend having basic knowledge in PowerShell before trying this lab. I think we did a little bit of PowerShell, but not so much. And I'm not even sure if I did that in the Advent of Cyber or if that was part of this. I'm going to have to do like a little mind map to see how these things connect. But otherwise, we'll Google it if we have to. So we'll be taking a look at the internals of Active Directory by using PowerShell commands to view machines, computers, users, and groups. Lab setup, deploy the machine. Boom. SSH or RDP into the machine, or use a browser-based instance, which is what I'm doing. And they got the password. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and SSH into the machine using the credentials provided, or RDP into it. But we're not going to get into that since we have this beautiful little browser-based baddie right here. Once we do that, let's see, PowerView setup. So I'm going to see what it looks like when it pops up, see if I need to do the go CD, downloads, and all the rest of that. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. But we'll see. And then a lab overview. All right. I will help you with a few commands. The rest is up to you. Oh, fancy. Use the following cheat sheet. Yeah, I like cheat sheets. To find what you need. You should have enough knowledge of Active Directory now to investigate the machine's internals on your own. Ooh, okay. So example commands are get net computer full data, pipe that into select operating system, and this will get a list of all operating systems on the domain. All right. Login failed. What in the world? All right, so don't know if the pages is just not being cool because the advent of cyber is like prize results are supposed to be coming out here shortly, and people are losing their minds in the Discord. So I'm wondering if that's translating to additional burden onto whatever TryHackMe's hosting their stuff on. All right, so I'm going to actually read some of the Discord chat. So stop with these memes. They're always just trigger another wave of memes. All right, cool. Imagine being here all day and not winning anything. Well, this is why we come to the actual, like, you know, hanging out with me and going through some of these rooms or doing some on your own too, you know, like actually spend some time learning some stuff if you've got it, right? Let's see. So Ben, you're awesome, by the way. All right. And then, I don't know how to pronounce this. Muiri, Muri? Man, I need somebody to correct me on that. They said they set it up to read only to prevent a riot. We'll open it up again later around the time of announcements. All right, so I guess people have moved on with their lives, and they're not going to be able to post in the Discord for a little while. So, oh, hey, looks like we got our machine set up. I'm going to go ahead and make this a wee bit bigger. And let's see, deploy the machine. I did that. Let's do it. What is the name of the Windows 10 operating system? All right, so what can I do? I deployed the machine, power view setup. So do I need to like open up a terminal? I can do that. So in one of our previous things, we learned that we can right click the taskbar, we can go to search, we can make it show the box if we want to. And I'm going to type command, CMD, in order to get a terminal. All right. Now it kind of looks like what they got going on over here. Ooh, I don't want you to be maximized, my friend. You're too large. All right. Okay, so I went and used the server manager thing, and I'm just kind of messing around with it because I've never actually looked at it before. It looks like we have here on the left dashboard, local server. This local server gives us a lot of information, including what I think might be the answer for that first question, or second question, first question, whatever you want to say. All servers here. The Active Directory CS. So what did we say Active Directory CS was? Active Directory DS. Domain server? Computers, clients, I don't know. DNS. Files, storage, and ooh, that made it tinier. Let's see if I can expand this out a little bit. All right, so let's get back to here. What domain service? No, AD in the cloud. That's not it either. Hands-on lab. What is the name of the Windows 10 operating system? So they gave us the command that they wanted us to use earlier. So I'm gonna see if I can. Ooh, hey, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Let me know if you win one of those prizes out there in TryHackMe land. All right. Thank you very much, Mamad Jufri. Hopefully I said that right. All right. So CD downloads. CD downloads. Cool. I am there. Load a PowerShell with execution policy bypassed. So PowerShell execution policy bypass. Okay. And I'm in. And then we're gonna import the Power View module. So let's see. Power View. In Windows, they don't really care about casing, but I do, so I'm going to try that. Okay, looks like I imported the module. Nothing bad happened. It looks exactly like our example here. So now that we've done that, let's try the command that they provided us so that we can kind of like, oh, hey, tab completion works. You got to be aware it won't necessarily do the one you're looking for. So if I do that, you can tab and you'll have multiple things that pop up. I was able to get the net computer on the second one. Full data, select operating system. Cool. Okay, so we got several here. These are all the operating systems on the domain. Okay, what else we got here? Get net user, select CN. And we can do the same thing. Get net user. Select CN. So we got a, oh, hey, check that out. We're probably gonna need that. All right, so me not knowing too much about PowerShell, what I would probably do is I'd look for the PowerShell cheat sheet here. That's pretty neat looking, and it got a bunch of information for us. So I'm going to potentially use that in some of these other questions. And this is important, this one right here. I'm going to save that, Power View. Tips and tricks. What is the name of the Windows 10 operating system? Enterprise Evaluation. All right, Windows 10 Enterprise Evaluation. What is the second admin name? So we have administrator and we have admin2. Admin2. Which group has a capitalized V in the group name? Oh, it looks like post. Post Power View for the win. Can I copy pasta this? Because that would be pretty dope. Okay, so, oh, in the group name, I'm looking at users. So let's see if there's a get. I'm gonna, groups XML, So I'm gonna see what this groups XML looks like. What? Values? Nah, that did not work for me. All right, I'm gonna go here, group. Get all the groups a user is effectively a member of. All right, so get domain group. That's what we want to do. Member identity, this one. So copy. Let's see if that works. Does that paste? No. Okay, get domain group. Get domain group. Get domain group. Get domain group. I need a member identity user group. So this is going to be the hard part for me, where I begin to stumble. Which group has a capital V in the group name? I just want to list all the groups. Enumerate all groups in a domain that doesn't have a global scope, returning just group names. Okay. So I'm going to try that then. Get domain group. curious about this not global thing. So group scope not global properties name. So maybe I didn't spell something right. Let's go back to that. Group scope, not global, properties name, get domain group. So what error did we get? The term get domain group is not recognized as the name of a commandlet function script file. So it says that there's nothing like that, which doesn't make sense because it says maybe find. There's got to be a find domain. You know what? Why don't we use what we already used, right? We used we used, we already get the users, and we selected their common name, I guess, CN. Why don't we just type get net user and get everything, see if that works. Oh, it looks like I have a bit of lag for some reason. Don't fail me now, computer, come on. All right, it's a chugging away. All right. Oh, maybe we'll be able to find how to describe the group. I'm going to try to refresh this page and see if that makes any difference. And we're going to be looking for which group has a capital V in a group name. Oh, we need to also find out when the password was last set too for the SQL service. So keep an eye out for SQL service user as well as the group name for with a capital V in it. So do we see the common name of several, display class, distinguished name, so maybe if we could just find where it says group, we could like member of, like select member of. SQL service. When was the password last set? Last login. Cool. Last log off. My password is my password 123. Okay. When changed. Haha. Okay. So let's keep this in mind because we'll be able to look for when changed. When changed when we do our next one. And we also want to look for the group name, right? And description. Member of. So I'm curious, maybe member of might be another one too. So let's skip past this capital V one first, since we have the information right here for when changed. At least we think we do. Uh-oh. SQL service. That's the user. That's when it was last changed. Do they mean like last logon? Because that doesn't seem correct. Unless I am also missing another like character or something. Is that a possibility? Oh, let's see what this hint says. They gave us a thing. Okay. GetNet user, SPN, member of match domain admins. Oh, perhaps I didn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this hint that they gave us for the capital V first. All right. Copy. Oh. Get net group. Get net group. Okay. Tag and group name, and then star. And we're looking for one with a capital V, so Hyper-V administrators. Oh. Hyper-V administrators. Cool. So get net group name. Did we see that in our Power View thing? Let's find out. Get net group. So apparently that command is not one in the Power View tips and tricks. This is something we're going to want to take a look at in like a PowerShell cheat sheet. We'll type that out, see what pops up. Windows Recon cheat sheet, find goodies from medium.com. Let's go to this GitHub one. Get network, get group, net group. Excuse me. All right, so with Power View, get net group, full data. I'm gonna save this. This is a pretty awesome Active Directory cheat sheet. Wow. Hey, what's the point of being here if you don't share some interesting links, right? Absolutely. Check out this guy here. All right. So let's see if using that information, password set. Oop, I think I just found it. Let's go back up. Displays when the password was set. Get AD user. Okay. I'm gonna leave this out here so that way I can just kind of read it. Get AD user filter. Did we have a get AD user before? Get AD user. So this sounds like there's got to be more than one way to do it, because they recommend get net user SPN, get net user this GitHub that they gave us for HarmJoy does not have getNetUser, but this one for GitHub for Drake Shift does have getNetUser. So definitely, I think maybe this is going to be the one that you don't want to use. You don't want to use that other one. Well, I mean, use what you want. But so let's see what getNetUser has. Filter by username, select a name, get all the properties. So I'm gonna use what do we want to get? The last password set for the SQL service user. What is TAC-SPN? TAC-SPN. SPN? SNP? All right. I'm not sure what that's about, but look at this beautiful like expression, date, time, from file, get AD user. They gave us getNetUser here, and they gave us select CN. So I'm going to try their command from the question hint. And then I'm going to find or use the one I found. And we're going to see what the difference is. getNetUser SPN pipe curly or question mark curly bracket Dala member of match domain admins. And of course, I need to have the correct spacing, otherwise it'll probably yell at me. Okay, this looks exactly like what we looked at before when I did just a getNetUser, right? So when was the password last set for the SQL user? I see what's going on here. So there is a when changed and password last set. So I'm curious. I'm gonna have to Google what this when changed is referencing. So let's go ahead. Let's answer the question. And that gave us a correct answer. Let's go to our friend here, Drake, and password last set is what I was curious about. I'm gonna get the same. We're gonna hopefully get the same answer. It sounds like we might actually get a more specific answer, actually. So let's go ahead and get AD user filter star properties star. So we're getting all the filters, all the properties. Oh, that's an equal sign rather than a hyphen or a minus sign. And we're piping that into select name at expression equals date time from file time pwd last set, and that was the field that we had gotten that answer from, right? Wow, that is way prettier. Wow, and so what it looks like it's doing is that it's giving us the name. We're selecting the name of the user, and we are also might have, maybe my column might be a little off because it looks a little weird. But we're still getting the answer that we were looking for. But now I have to try to fix it. Nope, that broke it. Cool. Yeah, date time from file. I mean, it works. It works beautifully. And it looks like that is the same time that we got. So I'm gonna share this one. So that way you can potentially use it if you'd like, but you can just go to that link and go get it for yourself. Wow, this right here, this is beautiful. I like this. Thank you very much to DrakeShift. All right, and in conclusion, we covered all the basics of the Active Directory that you need to know to understand how it interacts with the inside of the network.
Poppy, your donut is...
My beautiful daughter gave me a donut.
Your donut is the chocolate one, the chocolate circle one.
All right, thank you. All right.
Got
Why don't you take the donuts to the kitchen, sweetie, and I'll go get mine, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to tell Lydia that hers is a flower one.
All right, thank you, sweetie. Yeah. Look at this. We completed the room just in time for me to get some donuts for my kids. Pretty happy about that. All right, so we also got a hands-on with the Active Directory and the insides of the domain controller and how it functions. Now that you know the basics, go find the vulnerabilities inside of these networks and see what makes Active Directory such a big deal to the CyberSec community. Thank you very much, Cyrillic. This is Cyrillic's page. They got a crazy, what is this, a duck, a goose? They've completed many rooms. They have many badges. They've created many, many rooms. And yeah, they're top 1% over here. So someone to aspire to be like. Go ahead and complete the room. Whoop whoop. We're all done. And now we'll go ahead and gracefully terminate here before the madness kicks off in my house. Terminated that there. We completed the Active Directory basics, and let's give a little thumbs up. I wish I were. Let's get this to 1337. All right. Let's make this elite room. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and let's keep hacking. All right. Let's roll. Cheers.